Hello everyone, and welcome back to Mastering Geoguessr. Great to have you back on Geoguessr Explained today, and I want to talk about copyright. So copyright has been something that's been pretty widely gate-kept, and a lot of people would like to know about it, but there's never really been a video or a guide to showing exactly how it works. There's been a few guides. I don't think they've been particularly well received within the pro community, or at least, they've not really made the waves that perhaps people or like the impact that people want. So hopefully this video will give you a good idea of how to use copyright. I'm gonna give you everything I know. I don't know how long this video is gonna take to film, but yeah, it's gonna be. First off, I'm gonna start with like explaining how copyright works, because obviously a lot of the things I say in this video will be quite outdated, like in a few years' time. But hopefully the principles at the start will be useful, and yeah, work into the future. So basically, let's jump down into a location here. Let's go on this road in Kansas. Hopefully it's not Gen 1. Should be Gen 4. Good. Updated 2024 for the first time since April. Okay, April 2009. So good, we got lucky here. Anyhow, so that's a good example though. So basically, Google puts these watermarks all over the image, and of course, this is the copyright, and they kind of disappear when you zoom in on certain places, like this one disappears here. But yeah, for the most part, you can find some reliable ones that will stay put. And if you really if you're really desperate to find one, zooming into the Google car, like the front of the Google car, will often yield you one. If you are particularly keen-eyed, we can see one here, right there, 2024. Might be hard to see on the YouTube screen, but regardless, yeah, that's how you find copyright. And so the copyright is 2024, and that is because this is released in 2024. But copyright meta only really started getting used in 2022, even though the pro scene had been around for, 2 odd years, maybe even 3, depending on how you count it. And people hadn't really used copyright up to that point. So why is that? Well, the main reason is older images, Google often reprocesses, and in that process, or in that, when they reprocess it, it ends up with an updated copyright. And so if we go back to this 2009 image, it will have a copyright after 2009. Indeed, it has 2024 copyright because this road was updated in 2024. It's not always working like that. It could have had 2024. It could have had 2024 coverage just recently and been like a 2013 copyright, as far as I know. But basically, it will often areas where the copyright gets updated, the older coverage also gets updated, and surrounding older coverage also gets updated as well. So, I mean, this is Gen 4, might actually be difficult to find some Gen 1. Okay, well, this is Gen 3, 2014, and the copyright is 2019. And so, presumably, this town might have also been covered, or somewhere nearby was also covered in 2019, for example. Apparently not, but, like, just generally speaking, that's the principle, and often it, like, kind of works like that, where you have a copyright that is reflective of other Google coverage nearby or in the country somewhere. So yeah, basically the reason that it wasn't used earlier on is because it was considered very inconsistent. People weren't quite sure how to work out the patterns, and that's because a lot of the old Generation 3 coverage, if you don't know about camera generations, I made a video about that recently, but a lot of the Generation 3 coverage was like already updated, so people couldn't quite work out why it was like that. I would say around 2019, a lot of the stuff got re-updated in Generation 3, meaning that a lot of the old Generation 3 dates are 2019 or later. And that's just from Google reprocessing the images. And I can actually show you kind of how that works in Argentina. Let's pick a Generation 3 road. So Gen 3 was done in like 2015, 2014. So this is 2020 copyright right here. And if we move, we can see the black car here, but you can actually get occasionally on some frames in Argentina, you'll get no car at all. It happens every now and again, and that's and we might have to choose a different road. I don't know if we can actually find one on here. But, yeah, some images were not reprocessed, so I guess this road's actually not going to work, but we'll just pick another one. Actually, I might want to go further north here. I don't really know exactly where you can get it, but okay, 2014 here. Let's see if we can find an unprocessed. Most frames got reprocessed, but I'm just wondering if I can find one that's not been reprocessed, because you do occasionally get them, and that is the instance of. I just want to show like how Google reprocesses images, and it happens quite a lot in certain countries. But this is being a little bit finicky. It's even possible that they reprocess them again. Okay, here we go. This is a okay. So the car's not here, and this is 2016 copyright, which means the last time it was processed was 2016. If we move back to this frame, it'll be later. It's 2019 copyright, and that has the black car. So it's good to know. Even though this is 2014 coverage, the copyrights in Gen 3 are quite inconsistent. And so that's just setting the groundwork, okay? And so Generation 4 copyright is much more consistent. And the reason is, and I'm no expert, I'm just kind of going off the dome here, so feel free to correct me in the comments if I'm wrong about anything. But the reason is, when new coverage is added, it definitely shares the copyright date of when it was added for like 99% of cases. So if, we had a new road out in Kansas, 2024 seems like they did a bunch here. This is 2022. It has 2022 copyright. And if we find, a 2024 road, this one's 24, it'll always be 24. Basically, anything that's released in 2024 that was also captured in 2024 will always have the 2024 copyright until it gets reprocessed. So that's really useful. And so it leads to situations where, for example, a country we got this year is, okay, the countries we got this year are kind of not always the best examples, but a country we got this year, Kazakhstan, will, for the vast majority of frames, have 2024. And because it was captured in 2023 and 2022, for example, this was actually captured back in 2022, it was just released this year, it will sometimes have the 2023 copyright, although on this occasion it doesn't. Maybe this road will. That's also 24. Maybe this road, I don't know. I don't exactly know how it works, but some roads will be 2023. This one, for example, is 23. So, but that's not normally how it works. For example, the Mongolia stuff, where they've just added Gen 4 and it's all captured in 2024, it'll all be C24. And that's really great, because then you might be in a toss-up between Mongolia and Argentina, but you see it's Generation 4 and 2022 copyright. Well, it'll have to be Argentina, because you would just never get 2022 copyright Generation 4 camera in Mongolia. So as you can see, what I want to say about copyright in general, by the way, is that it's not that useful. Like, it's not as useful as people think when they watch pros play Geoguessr, I think. And the big part of that is that you use it to confirm suspicions and you use it to rule out countries, but it barely ever tells you what country it is, because with copyright 2024, you're looking at like basically every country in the game as possible, or at least a lot of them. And also 2024 exists in many places. For example, Russia has not been updated since 2021. So, or 2022. So when did they actually start releasing? I forget. I think it was 2022 when they started releasing the Russia coverage, maybe 2021. But with the Generation 4, and in Russia, basically you only get 2021 and 2022. However, Google sometimes reprocesses frames for various different reasons, and people report roads, for example, and report locations that might be broken coverage, and then they reappear as 2024. So basically, 2024 can literally appear anywhere and everywhere, whereas 2012 copyright, which occasionally does happen in Gen 3 or Gen 2, would only be in a place that got coverage 2012 or before. Does that make sense? So 2024 is a lot less meaningful than 2012. For example, what can I say? Like, Mexico got coverage very early. It's had coverage since 2022. It's had Gen 3 right since the inception of Gen 3. Whereas I feel like Cambodia, Generation 3 happened a lot later. So if you're in a Mexico versus Cambodia toss-up and you had 2015 copyright, it could be either. But if you had 2012 copyright, because Cambodia did not get coverage until 2014, then you would know it's Mexico, if that's the 50-50, for example. So that's kind of the way copyright works. With that said, I'm going to try and tell you guys each country's most common copyrights and copyrights that are possible. So, yeah. Is there anything else I want to mention before that, though? Yeah. So 20, just like, yeah, I think that's about what I wanted to mention. So let's get into it here. Canada is a country that it is a country. It's a country that still has a lot of Gen 3, and it's a country that's received coverage every year. So I'll just say like every copyright possible, with a lot of 2022 in Gen 4 at this stage, I would say, especially like the Yukon roads and the North British Columbia roads, they're often 2022, which is very useful. And then like Central Plains, up until recently, a lot of 2022, they're getting a lot more published now, but yeah. This road to Newfoundland and Labrador is also 2021, so that's pretty useful. And then Newfie has not had a lot of new coverage added, so that will often be stuck in like 2019 Gen 4 or 2022 Gen 4, so you'll get a lot of that there. I think that's all I need to say for that. US, pretty simple stuff. Every single copyright is possible. I would say they have a lot of 23 and 24 because of the new coverage, so if you saw 22, you might slightly lean Canada. And then up in Alaska, it's like mostly like copyright 21 and 22 for the Gen 4. They didn't really drive there in the last few years. And Alaska and Hawaii is the same. I think, I don't even know when the last time they drove Gen 4 in Hawaii is. Let's go like downtown Honolulu and see what the last coverage date is. 2019 here. Has it actually been 5 years? I think it's actually been 5 years since they drove anything. But yeah, 2019, and when is the copyright date here? 2024. So that's what I'm saying. It's not always consistent. That being said, I would imagine if I just go to another place here, this might even be Gen 3 to be fair. I was trying Gen 4, nice, and it's got 2019 copyright. So yeah, just keeping that in mind that a lot of times in Hawaii, only Gen 4 will be older. They are driving it again now, but it's not released yet. Okay, Mexico has a lot of 22, 23, 24. The more rural areas have quite a lot of 22. Baja California has a lot of 22, but the whole country as a whole, mostly like 23, 24 now. Guatemala was one of the later added Gen 3 countries, so it's 2016, and you sometimes do see 2016 copyright, or 2017 copyright. So it's commonly has 2017 copyright. It's often not updated, and the later the Gen 3 happen, the more likely it's to not be updated like that. So it's kind of useful. Definitely use it with a grain of salt. And I was going to say about that is that we'll check out some more copyrights soon. But this is the 2017 copyright. Did I just click on the same frame? No. And it is a thinner font than everything 2020 and later. So you can actually, even if you are playing NMPZ and you just look like this, you can't maybe make out the 7, but you can at least make out the font which Google is written in, and that is the old style font. It's thinner than the bold font that's used now. So that's actually kind of useful in itself, even if you can't make out what it says. And generally speaking, everything 2020 and before was more difficult to find on the screen as well, I would say. Actually, 2020 might also be thin font. I think 2021 is where it gets bold. So yeah, like it's also harder to find back in the old days, which in itself can be a clue. Colombia has a lot of 2022 Gen 4, and then a little bit of 23 and a little bit of 24. Ecuador, Gen 4 is just coming out now, so any Gen 4 you have should be 2024 and after. Peru has a lot of 22, some 23 and some 24. But yeah, a lot of 22, I would say, at this stage. Bolivia, stuck in Gen 3. When did they take it? 2015. So yeah, I mean, you're normally going to have, with the white car, you're going to have 2019. And with if the car ever disappears, then it's going to be, can we actually get the car to disappear quickly here? If the car disappears, then it's probably going to be like 2016. So that's that. For the unprocessed frames, Chile got a bunch of 2022. 2023 is pretty rare, mostly around Santiago and Concepcion. And 2024 is starting to be very, very much common in the north half, but they're driving all around, I think. Argentina exploded into 2024. It used to have a lot of 2022. Now it's exploding into 2024, so that's pretty useful. Uruguay Generation 4 is still coming, but seems like it was in 2015. And yeah, we can see the black car here, so it will be 2019 copyright. I mean, it's somewhat useful. You could actually use that if you were very unsure about the country, but the thing is, I don't think it's that useful. Okay, Brazil. there's definitely certain areas where you're going to expect more of a certain copyright. For example, I feel like this is a 2022 road, yeah. So you're going to see, oh, C23. So that's, let's see if we can actually see 22 there. So yeah, like a road like this can be gotten by the fact that it's 22 sometimes, but not always, of course. Roraima hasn't received. Did they actually get updated now? I'm just trying to think. I think they're driving in Boa Vista, but I don't know if it's actually been updated to Gen 4 yet. Oh yeah, it does have 2024 copyright as well. So okay, so basically 2024 is super common, 23 is super common, 22 is super common, and they're replacing a lot. So I would say 24 is really the go-to one. But they'll like in Brazil at the moment, they kind of just like drive a certain area very densely. For example, Tocantins here was driven a lot in 2023. So you're just going to get a lot of 23 stuff, whereas like Bahia, they're currently driving a lot and very densely like this stuff here. So that's all going to be 24. No, sorry. It's not, it's partially 23 and partially 24, but it's all going to be new stuff, like at least in the last 2 years. So that's South America. So generally speaking, you can use those numbers. Maybe someone can turn it into a doc if they want to, what I've said, but yeah, I mean, copyright's not very useful in South America, actually, and North America, to be fair. Just a whole region where copyright isn't pretty useless. Now, one interesting one is the Dominican Republic. It was covered in 2019, and it's pretty much all copyright 2020, which is actually pretty unique. What is it actually normally in Puerto Rico? I actually got to remind myself of that. Hello? Copyright in Puerto Rico, please. Actually, okay, they do. So 2016, and it will be 2016. So that is actually a meaningful difference because these can be difficult countries. So keep an eye out for C2020. And as you can see, it was actually thin text. So yeah, 2021 is the first one that's bold text. And then actually Guam and NMI, I believe, do not have copyright, as far as I remember. So there are certain like trekker places where there's just no copyright. A lot of trekkers don't have it, so that's kind of in itself a useful clue to get those. Senegal. Senegal's mostly 2022 with a bit of 2023. Seeing 2024 is unusual there, so that's a pretty good clue. If you click out on one of these rural roads, obviously it's captured in 2021, but released in 2022, so it's got 2022 copyright. Very useful. Ghana, they're recovering it right now, but 2016, so you get a lot of 2017 coverage. That is pretty useful for Ghana, but it's the same as Guatemala, so watch out for that. So Nigeria obviously has a lot of crap cam releasing still, but the Generation 4 and a lot of the Generation 3 should just be 2022 copyright. Some of like the final released Generation 3 coverage was here. So even though this is 2020, it was released in 2022. So that's pretty good, I would say. Like it's like Generation 3 can be trusted more in Nigeria, is what I'm saying. Not that you really need it in Nigeria, to be fair, but could come in handy, I guess. Kenya, a lot of 2022 and then a lot of 2024. 2023 is a bit more rare. Yeah, and a lot of these like rural roads will still be 2022, which is pretty useful. So yeah, I guess all these major roads down here, whereas this dense coverage down here will be a lot 2024 now. For example, I would imagine like all this, actually, yeah, this is all 2024 because it just wasn't this dense before. Uganda, you shouldn't need copyright for this country, but I guess it's 2019 there. Let's see. So I guess this was probably another country where they reprocessed it, and it's now in 2021. I don't know. Yeah, couldn't recommend using it for that. Rwanda's interesting. Kigali is a lot 2022. And then you get a bit of 2023. For example, I would imagine Butare is 2023. Yeah. And then you get some towns that are 2024. So all three are possible there. Botswana's Gen 3. I think they covered it in 2012. Yeah, so you get mix of copyrights probably. Same for Lesotho and Eswatini. South Africa's got a lot of 22 and a bit of 23 and 24. So everything's possible. Just keep an eye out. This is 2024 coverage. Yeah, they're pretty much just continually updating it. So it'll probably end up with a lot 2024 or whatever year you're watching this. Tunisia is actually, I mean, Tunisia is pretty easy, but 2016 copyright seems like it might work here. Yeah, I would trust it. Yep. Not something I've ever used, but can be a nice one. So Australia got tons of coverage in 2023, 24. So that's really what you're going to remember. There are some roads that are good for copyright, like this one here, which should be 2020, I guess 2021 or 2022, really. Oh, it's December 2021, so it should be a 2022 road, but more useful is the fact that it has the antenna, which they stopped doing in Australia. So yeah, Australia just has tons of 24 and tons of 23 as well. Same with Indonesia, tons of 24 to tons of 23. Other stuff's pretty rare, but good to remember that compared to some of its neighbors, Indonesia has had Gen 4 since 2019, so you will get some old stuff occasionally. Same with mainland Malaysia. But actually, mainland Malaysia does have a lot of 2024, but it doesn't have any 2023. So that's actually a highly useful clue for differentiating them. If you get a 2023, you can pretty much rule out Malaysia, I would say. And then it has a lot of 2022, 21, 20. It's a very diverse country in terms of copyright, just not 23. Thailand is like Indonesia, where it has all of them. So these three, they got Gen 4 first. For example, Philippines only has Gen 4 after 2022. So that's very useful. Taiwan is another country where you can get it all years, I would say. Probably, I don't even know. Like, Taiwan should be a very mixed country in terms of copyright. Same with Japan, I would say. And Korea is obviously stuck in Gen 3 with like some, I feel like Korean coverage is pretty old by now, 2017 maybe, 2019 even. Okay, so yeah, you can probably get some more recent copyrights potentially. But again, they'll just show up as 2024 sometimes randomly, so just be careful. Mongolia we covered is like all the Gen 4's 2024. Kazakhstan has the weird quirk of being released in 2024, but being captured in 22, 23. So you do get occasionally 2023 copyright in the east half of the country. Russia we covered 2021 and 22. 21 is the most common. And it's random wherever the 2022 is, just because of the way they published it. And you will occasionally get updated stuff because there's a lot of broken roads in Russia. And so they, like the Google Street View buffs, try and like connect up the roads by reporting them as broken to Google. So that's why you get quite a bit of 24 coverage as well, even though it's actually older. We're getting to Europe soon, and Europe is, of course, the most useful by far. So let me just see what else I've missed. So India is going to be a lot of 22, 23, 24 in CrapCam. I think the Cambodian CrapCam is normally just 23, right? Yeah, as far as I can tell, they just dropped a whole bunch of 23 CrapCam. So that's... It should normally be copyright 23 as far as I can tell. I don't think they're actually publishing it anymore. So yeah, should be actually pretty useful for the India 50-50 there. Should be 23. Hong Kong we won't worry about. Sri Lanka, they dropped the low cam and they haven't been updating it. So it's a lot of 22. It was released in 21 and I think it's got a lot of 22 copyright. So that's pretty useful with the low cam. Yeah, so it's a highly 2022 country with the old stuff being updated maybe. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, so now let's get onto the Middle East. Actually pretty useful here. So Dubai and UAE has a lot of 22 and 24, I think. They got Gen 4 in 2022 with the pickup truck, and then they've recently been driving it with this black car, which is 24, even though it was like driven in 23. Yeah, that seems right to me. So I think 23 is also possible though. Just trying to remember. Yeah. Well, they've actually. Also, this is an interesting example. They've retroactively. Oh, this is interesting. So they've retroactively come to this 2021 coverage, which was released in 2022, and blurred the entire car, so that's completely gone, which is of course what we want. So we're not counting smudges. And this coverage now appears as 2024 because they've reprocessed it. So I would imagine if we go down this road, and it's a little annoying that we're facing this direction. But if we go to this coverage here, it should all be, with it completely disappeared like this, it should all be 24. But yeah, it's being finicky. Oh, wait, actually. No, I wanted to go this frame. Because, hey, hello. It's here, and yeah, 2022, unprocessed. So that is actually useful. And if we step one forward, it's processed. And so, yeah, this is kind of how it works. If I didn't make it clear earlier, hopefully that shows. Qatar got a tiny bit of 22, and it's mostly 23, as far as I remember. So, like, if you're downtown, if you're near the football stadiums, then you will get a bit of 22. But this, yeah, but mostly it's just 23. And I guess 24 might be possible just with overwritten copyright, but 23 is pretty good way of getting Qatar over UAE, although I wouldn't recommend relying on it. So yeah, here we have 24. So yeah, I wouldn't rely on it, but it is 23 is definitely more common in Qatar. UAE got, Israel got a bit of 2022 Gen 4, I want to say. What is it actually, 22 or 23? I gotta remember here. Let's just go to this road here was recovered. This one here. So let's see, 2023 copyright. I think that actually makes sense, doesn't it? Yeah. So it's released in 2023, I think. Turkey got tons of 2024 and also tons of 2022. I think 23 is a little less common. But no. Oh, 23 is mostly in the West. Actually, 22 is the most common for the whole country, I think. And then you get 23 West and 24 all over. Actually, yeah, there's tons of... Actually, they're filling in the whole country right now. Look at all these tiny blue lines. Well, Turkey's actually going insane right now. Wait, I didn't even realize how much it is. This is probably pickup truck, right? Or it's even just normal cast off. So yeah, Turkey's kind of going insane right now. But I guess a lot of 22 and 24. Greece is... okay, now we're getting on to Europe, guys. Alert. Everything from here on in is super useful. So pay attention. Okay. Off the dome. Greece. 2019 and 20... we'll do the Gen 4 countries first. So 2019 and 2023 and 2024. You will not see 2022 or 2021 in Greece, and that is super useful. Unless... I don't even think you'd even see updated copyright. I feel like Greece is just super useful. Bulgaria is interesting because in Eastern Europe, it's kind of unique, along with, I guess, Hungary, for having quite a bit of 2021 copyright. Most of the rest of Eastern Europe did not receive Gen 4 that early, and it can also have very rarely 2019. So that's the same thing for Hungary. Like, Hungary and Bulgaria are kind of sisters in that way. They have a lot of stuff in common copyright-wise. And I'm recording with audio, excellent. So that's just like super useful, I would say, because if it looks like Croatia or Romania, but you have those copyrights, it's going to be very unlikely to be those ones, or impossible for Croatia. For example, Romania does very occasionally have 2021 for some reason, but it's kind of like a Kazakhstan situation where they covered it earlier and then they released it later. So sometimes copyright's a little bit finicky, but yeah, definitely Romania is a country. Oh, and then like 2022, 23, 24 are all common in Hungary and Bulgaria. They've been constantly receiving updates. Romania 22, 23, 24, basically. Gen 4 countries. Croatia, a lot of 22 and a whole lot of 22 and a little bit of 23, 24, I think. So that's a 22 country. Slovenia should be mostly 22, 23, 24. Like, pretty much, well, it's only those, but, like, pretty mixed, I think. Same for Austria, but Austria goes back a bit further. They do have, like, 2018, 2019, yeah, they have everything. I don't know how much 2021. They have everything. Like, Austria has everything. Slovakia is 2022 onwards, with a lot of 2022, and not as much 23, 24, I feel, but still some. Same for Czechia, although Czechia might be... And Czechia also has 2019 a lot. So that's the big difference between those two copyright-wise. If you see 2019, just send Czechia, and it has a lot of it. Poland is either 2019 or 2022 for the most part, with a bit of 23. So not much 24, unless it's overwritten as far as I remember. Could be making mistakes here, but I hope not. Lithuania, lots of 22, 23, 24. Particularly, I would say 23, 24. Latvia... 23, 22, 23, 24, but quite a bit of 22 leans me towards Latvia compared to other Baltics, I think. Estonia, 22, 23, 24. They all pretty got covered a lot. I guess one useful matter is Estonia 2023 winter is a lot near Tallinn, and it is pretty recognizable coverage. And then actually 24 winter stuff is up here as well, I think. Finland is one of the most useful ones, 2022 only. But, oh, actually, no, and with a bit of 23 as well, I think. But 24, I'm not really sure if it exists. It's very rare if it does. So, yeah, looking out for 2022 in Finland for sure. Sweden is one of these countries that's just received constant updates, so right through the years. Interestingly, recently they have not done much. Well, like in 22, 23, I don't think they really did blue car, so that's pretty useful for identifying it between Finland. Also, Finland never has antenna, so that's also very useful difference. Norway is an interesting country. They have a lot of 22, especially in the north of the country. It's pretty much all 22, or earlier, 2019 maybe as well. The south of the country has a lot of 23, but it doesn't really go too far north. And then 24, I'm not really sure where they've published, but should also be mostly south. 22 is the most common there. Denmark has all copyrights, and it's a very annoying country in terms of copyright, I would say. Germany, mostly just 2023, because that's when they republished, or that's when they made their big publishing of German Street View, which didn't exist before. And you do get occasionally annoying 2024 frames. I don't think they've really released anything, though. It just happens to have a lot of 2024 sometimes for some reason, but mostly 23. Netherlands, big mix of everything. Belgium, big mix of everything, but they have a lot of 2020. I think 2020 coverage is the most common in Belgium. For some reason, during COVID, they were driving there when they gave up with other countries. But like Belgium often has like 2020, 2021, I feel, more than other countries, but it has all copyrights. France has everything, complete, utter mix. Same with the UK. Ireland has a lot of 2019. Actually, no. So same with Norway. Norway has a lot of the 2019. Ireland also has a lot of 2019, but then it gets everything after that as well. 2021 is pretty uncommon in Ireland and quite common in UK though, so that's kind of useful. Switzerland should be like 22 and 24 with not much 23, as far as I remember. Italy is a complete mix, has everything. Spain is a complete mix, has everything. Portugal is a complete mix, has everything. But a good tip is that the islands are mostly like 21, 22 out here, I believe. So Azores, Madeira, and Canaries should, if my memory serves me correctly, just be that. Now let me check Gran Canaria, because if they recovered anywhere, it would be here. But I'm pretty sure they didn't do anything. Yeah, it's just 2022 with 2023 copyright. All right, I'll see if that's consistent. Yeah, it probably actually is 23 copyright, even though they haven't driven there. Or it's 24 even. It's a bit annoying. 24. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, they haven't driven there, I think, since 2022. Is that all the Gen 4 countries? Obviously, Liechtenstein they just released. That should all be 2024. San Marino they just released. That's all 24. Luxembourg is pretty useful because obviously if you see it has 2022, then it won't be Germany, but it will be Lux, so that's pretty useful. But they mostly 22, 23, 24. I don't think they have anything before that. Okay, then I think we're through to Gen 2 or Gen 3 countries. So Albania and Montenegro are pretty usefully most of the time, like what is it, 2017 or something? 2016, pretty usefully that. So that's kind of a nice copyright matter. It will actually help you sometimes, even when you have no rifts, like down in this section where there's no rifts. You'll still have 2016 to help you out sometimes. North Mass? What is North Mass actually? North Mass 2015, but maybe updated. Let's see. Let's give it a little bit of sample size here. So that's 2019, 2019. So they reprocessed here, 2019. That actually doesn't surprise me. I bet there used to be an antenna and they reprocessed, so there's no antenna anymore. 2019. Okay, so actually seems like I discovered something here. Seems to be very consistently 2019. Nice. Serbia, probably the same then. 2018. Oh, wait, is this actually a meta? 2024. Okay. 2021. Okay. Still useful. If North Mass is normally 2019. Oh yeah, that's 2019. Okay, that's 2019 as well. That's what I thought. I thought they would be the same. 2018. This is actually kind of interesting, guys. Forgive me for my getting caught up in this a little bit. Okay, we found the unofficial coverage. 2022. Okay, it's very random here. Gosh, so much unofficial coverage, I didn't realize. Novi Sad. 21. 2019. Okay, so, and back to North Mass. Let's see if it is actually that consistent. 2022. Okay, we were just getting fortunate on the main roads. It's probably also a mix. So yeah, not I would have thought it would be known if it was that useful, but yeah, it seems like that's actually 2015. Okay, and you can see the car is much less smoothed out here, I think, compared to that. Yeah, it's got much more of a soft blur on the 2019. Yeah, I don't know. It was reprocessed, but it didn't have an antenna to begin with, I suppose. And yeah, I mean, Ukraine, not really sure actually. 2015 with probably a bunch of copyright differences, I would say. Yeah. Okay, well, that is about it. I think we covered everything that I wanted to. Oh, Iceland 2024. Faroe Islands 2024 with the new Gen 4 stuff. And I think that just about concludes everything I wanted to mention. So, main takeaways is that you use copyright in conjunction with stuff. Someone made a copyright doc, so I will link it. And I think in conjunction with this video as well, it should be pretty useful. Because here you understood like how to use it, more where that doc doesn't really give you that. But this doc will at least like give you a decent, if not some occasionally inaccurate overview of how the copyrights are. But hope this video was useful to everyone who always asks about that, and you can point people this direction if they ever ask about copyright again. And I would say thank you all for watching the video, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.